All right, man, peace. So, brothers, I'm finally getting the opportunity to cover a topic that I meant to cover around the time when it first erupted or came to the surface. And so many people asked me about it, that being the Beyonce is a witch topic. According to news reports, Beyonce's ex-drummer claims that not only was she fired unceremoniously by Beyonce Knowles, but that Beyonce has also stopped her from being the recipient of other job opportunities, being able to keep a job. And according to this woman, Beyonce also is able to take her spirit and leap into other bodies, as well as possessing her cat. I wonder if she's talking about an actual cat or is she talking about something else. Either way, we're going to cover this issue right now. So it states here in the article, Beyonce's former drummer tells Daily Mail TV she's been bullied by the superstar, claiming she put a spell on her cat and ruined her love life by jumping into other bodies to watch her be intimate with partners. Now, brothers, if you're going to ask me whether or not I believe this woman when she says that Beyonce has the capability to leap outside of her body into other people's bodies to view what's going on in certain environments where she wants to be present, yes, I do believe that. Okay? Elite level witches, they have that type of power, believe it or not. Let's take a look at this photo here. No disrespect to the accuser, but it's very obvious to me that, and I do believe what she's saying about Beyonce, that Beyonce was doing these things, but it's also very obvious to me that this person, the drummer I'm talking about, is under demonic possession herself. Very little doubt about that in my mind. Always remember, birds of a feather, they flock together. So there's no way in the world that Beyonce is some high-level witch and you just been chilling with her for 7 years. As we're going to read, this person is also an adherent to many Luciferian ideologies herself, which is not a surprise. Most modern-day liberal females are Luciferians. It says here, Kimberly Thompson claims Beyonce is hell-bent on destroying every aspect of her life, including her career, relationships, and finances, all out of jealousy. So I wonder what she means by that. Is she trying to imply that Jay-Z tried to get with her? That would explain why Beyonce would have a vendetta against her if that were the case. The 37-year-old, who was in Beyonce's all-girl band as drummer for 7 years, filed for a restraining order against the singer in a bid to cut the cord. Now, brothers, did you hear that? This person, the drummer Kimberly Thompson, is referring to her separation from Beyonce as cutting the cord. What is she saying? She's saying that she believes that she has a soul tie to Beyonce Knowles, very similar to the dynamic that we've seen in the film Us, what they refer to as the quote-unquote untethering. She allowed herself to develop a soul tie with Beyonce Knowles. It would not surprise me if every person in Beyonce's quote-unquote all-girl band has a soul tie with Beyonce. And those are established in a myriad of ways, spell casting and also intercourse. Am I saying that Beyonce is a lesbian or pansexual? No, not necessarily. But I would not doubt it at all, because that is part and parcel to witchcraft, that the practitioner be a pansexual, because most of the rituals involve what's known as sex magic. So once again, would it shock me if all of Beyonce's band members had to lay down with her in order for them to become a part of the inner circle? No, it wouldn't shock me at all. And I'm pretty sure that Miss Kimberly Thompson was one of them who laid down with Beyonce. Once again, what I'm saying is alleged. But when you pay very close attention to Beyonce's band, they all seem to be lesbian or lesbian-like in some way. I have very little doubt that that there was some freaky shit going on in Beyonce's inner sanctums. It says here, the musician says the superstar practices witchcraft, casting spells on her kitten and on her, which allowed her to be manipulated sexually. Once again, this person is stating that Beyonce is obsessed with her sexually. What was going on between them? That she believes that Beyonce is so infatuated or could be so infatuated with her in that manner. She told Daily Mail TV she's just basically doing anything and everything to damage any type of happiness that I could have. Sounds like a woman talking about a breakup. That's what it sounds like to me. It would not shock me at all if something was going on between Miss Kimberly Thompson, Beyonce Knowles, and maybe even Jay-Z. You have many couples, and not just celebrity couples, who decide that they're going to bring a third person into the bedroom, and they believe that they can execute these sexual encounters in an orderly fashion. And almost uniformly, there ends up being some type of discord there that develops because of that third person that gets added for whatever reason, whether it be for purely sexual reasons or also for ritualistic purposes. Thompson believes Beyonce has paid people to fire her from jobs. I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it at all. She filed the restraining order not as a publicity stunt, but to cut the cord with someone she once loved and put on a pedestal. So yes, you idolized Beyonce as a god or a quote-unquote goddess. Miss Kimberly Thompson, I believe that you laid down with her as well to establish an even closer rapport. And I think that it was at the behest of Beyonce Knowles. This is something that cult leaders will often do. They will bed down their adherents, their followers, so that they can build a bond, not just mentally and spiritually, but also physically as well. That's a way to dominate them and to create and reinforce a certain pecking order. The drummer says she hopes others who have been in similar situations are inspired to do the same and stand up for themselves. Beyonce's former drummer has spoken out about the years of torment she claims she has suffered at the hands of the superstar, alleging Beyonce put a spell on her cat and ruined her love life, she revealed in an exclusive interview with Daily Mail TV. Oh boy, this bro said Beyonce put a spell on her cat. Kimberly Thompson filed for a restraining order against Beyonce, claiming for the past 6 years the singer has led a campaign of harassment against her that included the practice of witchcraft and magic spells of sexual molestation. So now she's saying that Beyonce is a succubus. Once again, just for artists to get to the level that a Beyonce is at, they have to be sexually fluid. They have to be very adept at many components of witchcraft. That's why I tell you, brothers, they're all a part of the craft. Any prominent actor or actress or politician, for that matter, of prominence, of great prominence, they're a part of the craft. They have to be, because it's a component of the Babylonian Kemetic mystery school system. That's why Beyonce always depicts herself or casts herself as the mother goddess. Remember, the mother goddess is the goddess of witchcraft. The 37-year-old, who was in Beyonce's all-girl band as a drummer for 7 years, accuses her of being hell-bent on destroying every aspect of her life, including her career, relationships, and finances, all out of jealousy. Sounds like a bad breakup to me. Thompson spoke to Daily Mail TV in a desperate attempt to have Beyonce leave her alone, explaining, "She's not been able to let me go." Once again, seems to be implying that they were in a sexual relationship. I'm surprised that more people have not picked up on some of the things that Miss Kimberly Thompson is alluding to. If you pay very close attention, I've already stated this, look at Beyonce's band members. They're all lesbians or sexually fluid in some way. Every last one of them. You could look at them and tell. So what does that tell you about Beyonce? All the smoke and mirrors and the long hair weaves and the makeup, it's all a facade. Once again, the mother goddess is the goddess of sexual intercourse. She goes both ways. She goes all ways. Men, women, children, animals, etc. That's why she's known as the mother of harlots. She's not been able to let me go. She's not been able to let me progress into a mature woman and work with other people. Yeah, because she wants you all to herself. When y'all rub coochies together, it must have made her feel real good inside. That's the problem. She want that old thing back. That's why she said, okay, no problem. No more pussy for me. No more pussy for you either. I'm going to put a spirit on your damn cat. She's just been basically doing anything and everything to damage any type of happiness that I could have. Well, you're a liberal woman, so you're probably not that happy in the first place. I doubt if you were happy to begin with. Most of these broads are batshit crazy. Especially the ones that claim to be empowered and don't need a man, blah, blah, blah. She's smiling right there, but I guarantee you she crazy as hell. It goes Beyonce, as usual, grabbing the back of her weave. Thompson says she filed the restraining order not as a publicity stunt, but to cut the cord with someone she once loved and put on a pedestal. That's why I always state, never be a fan of anyone. There's no person who can live up to the image that you create for them in your mind, because that's a you problem. You're delusional. You've given a person godlike status because they sing well, or they dance well, or they make good music, or they're a great athlete, etc. All they are is a person. And by the time a so-called fan understands who that person actually is that they've been idolizing, now they want to turn or recalibrate their energy towards that person from a delusionally overly positive outlook towards a delusionally overly negative outlook. In other words, you become their biggest hater. All a fan does is become a hater eventually. Because once again, the picture that they have of the object of their fandom in their mind, that can never be equaled by the real person. Nor should a real person be trying to live up to the image that you have of them in your mind. That's not their problem. Let's get back to this article right here. Thompson said to Daily Mail TV, "I've just been bullied this entire time. This has been going on for a very long time, so it has taken God's strength to really make me get up and stand up for myself, starting with the restraining order." These liberal females, they're always talking about God this and God that. When people use that term God, you have no idea who they're talking about or what they're talking about. They could be talking about the spirits of quote-unquote Mother Nature. Most of these modern-day liberal females believe in Mother Nature. When they say God, that's who they're talking about. Or they're so delusional that they embrace witchcraft and psychics and things of that sort, but still have the nerve to try to call down the Most High. Oh, boy. She says, "I don't want anything to do with this person at all. This has been a complete nightmare. I've been absolutely brutally abused by her, trying to control everything I'm doing," she claims. Well, that's normally what happens when you decide to align yourself with a megalomaniac, someone who's a narcissist and has an overly expansive view of themselves, especially in the grand scheme of things. People like Beyonce and Rihanna and Jay-Z, they get so feted and so celebrated for no reason at all that they really believe that they're worthy of being leaders of the world, things of that nature. And through their music and how they're able to get people to do whatever they want through their music, there's certain reason to substantiate that. Because people are so simple-minded, they'll follow behind these quote-unquote artists who are just witches. That's it. Beyonce, who is currently on tour with her husband Jay-Z, has not commented on the allegations. Why would she? Just for her to comment on them would give them a certain level of energy and validity. She's not going to do that. Thompson claims Beyonce used witchcraft that allowed her to be manipulated sexually, saying the singer did this by jumping into other bodies to watch her be intimate with partners. Once again, brothers, what is she saying? She's saying that she and Beyonce used to have sex. And because she cut off the sex, Beyonce wanted to get her fix by projecting her spirit into the bodies of the men or the women that she was having sex with. That's what this drummer is saying. Basically, she's spilling the beans on Beyonce because she no longer wants to be with Beyonce sexually. She decided to leave the group, and Beyonce got upset, according to her, and put a curse on her cat and put a curse on her, and was able to jump into the bodies of her sexual partners so that she could still experience the sensation of making love to this woman. This is something called body swapping or walk-ins in the Luciferian world, where they believe that they can take their spirit out of their own body and put it into the body of another person, and they actually can see through that person's eyes. Thompson says she came to a breaking point a year ago when she found out from two psychics that Beyonce had cast a spell on her kitten, which had been brutally attacking her. So, brothers, that right there is the rub. This person's calling down God, but she's running to psychics. The Most High is not going to help her with this situation. She believes in Luciferianism. So you have to give yourself over, and the Most High is going to give you over to your lusts. Whatever you believe in is what you're going to have to go down with. Because she's not going to have the humility to stop living the deleterious lifestyle that she's living. I will be willing to put down money that this chick is a pansexual, this Kimberly Thompson. I'll be willing to put money down. And that's the reason why she's so upset with Beyonce. Or hell, maybe Beyonce dumped her. And the chick said, "I'm leaving the band." And Beyonce said, "I don't want you to drum for me anymore, but I still want to rub coochies with you." And the chick got mad. And who knows with these broads? Either way, it's very obvious that something sexual was happening between them. And that's the whole point of the situation. And that's why this broad is trying to spill the beans. She cannot say this expressly because it's going to bring a certain amount of controversy to Beyonce and Jay-Z. And she knows that Beyonce has so much power that would be the worst thing that she ever did, to spill the beans on something like that. She said, I was getting abused. Every time I came home from work to rest, I was just being abused to the point where I'm still healing from a scratch on my rib cage. It drew blood. It was awful. It was so manic and gnarly that I ended up calling 2 psychics. I got the word from the first psychic and I didn't want to believe it. Brothers, let me say this. The cat is a totemic animal that's used by witches as a mechanism to channel familiar spirits into. That's why you'll notice that cats are always associated with witches. And pay very close attention to many of these films. They'll always show you that a cat is something more than meets the eye, especially when it comes to the concept of being a withholder of secrets. They showed you that in the film that just came out a few weeks ago, Captain Marvel. They also showed you that in the film from back in the day, Men in Black. She says, so I called later to get a confirmation to make sure because I didn't want to believe. They were like, the cat has a spell on it. I said, what about Beyonce? And they were like, yes, Beyonce put a spell on the cat and you need to get rid of it right away. Otherwise, you'll be in really, really huge trouble. Beyonce probably had a spirit on the cat where she could see through the cat's eyes. That would not shock me at all. Thompson claims that Beyonce later had the cat killed, which ripped out her heart. So Thompson probably gave the cat to someone or took the cat to a shelter or something like that, and Beyonce just had the cat explode, allegedly. In a bid to get away from the singer's alleged control, Thompson says she attempted to move cities, but claims Beyonce still found a way to manipulate and control that. She explained, it was a very wicked tactic to keep me down, to keep me under some type of control. I've had enough. This has been going on since 2006 and just has been getting worse and worse and worse. For a very long time, I put this person on a pedestal. I loved them, and the entire time this person was casting spells and manipulating and controlling my job situation, my relationships, just all kind of things. Well, if it's been going on since 2006, you clearly liked it. But something has changed, or something had changed, to where either you or Beyonce or the both of you felt way too uncomfortable continuing on with that dynamic that you had at the time that you decided to depart. So the only question is, what is it that occurred? And my view is very clear that one of you cut off the sex and the other person got upset. If it was Beyonce who cut off the sex, you got upset, you left the band, and she said to herself, I'm talking about Beyonce, this bitch is not going to leave me without me taking a chunk out of her ass and making her life a living hell. It's very obvious to me that that's what went down. There's clearly a sexual dynamic between these two females. Thompson says she regrets ever working with the superstar, adding, I'm even embarrassed that I have worked with them because it has literally shattered everything that I tried to build after doing that work in my life. I always said when I was a kid, I never would want to regret anything, but this I regret. I regret that we ever worked together because it has turned my life completely upside down. Thompson claims Beyonce has gone as far as to use her ideas, even encouraging other celebrities to do the same. Well, look, it's already widely known that these so-called celebrities are nothing but concept and idea vultures. That's all they are. Most of them are not even talented. The reason why many of them are where they are is because they were blood-debted into the industry, and they were promised that they will be the recipients of what they lusted after, that being fame. And from there on, they can capitalize on their situation on the mountaintop by taking demos and tracks from unknown artists and just stealing the concept, even stealing melodies and so on and so forth. That's always been the case in the music industry. She said, I have a lot to give to the world, and I think there's a huge amount of jealousy there that she hasn't discussed with me. It's just been a nightmare to try and move on and do other things for other people without it getting totally destroyed. Well, you made your bed, you gotta lie in it. You believe in witchcraft just like her. You're just not as strong as her. Other people I've worked with have been paid to fire me. I found this out, and then it just kept happening. it was a pattern. Hey, you mess with somebody in the craft, they have a lot of power, particularly when you yourself do not believe in the Most High. Okay, so brothers, now we're just going to go through some pictorial evidence that will hopefully illustrate many of the sentiments that I touched on over the course of going through that article, especially with Beyonce. But at this point, most people know that Beyonce is a Luciferian. At the very least, a Luciferian, most likely a Satanist as well, but certainly a Luciferian. She's a venerator of the Mother Goddess, and she considers herself a microcosm of the Mother Goddess in the flesh on the earth. So we're just going to go through some photos and see what we find. As we can see here, Beyonce's father is certainly a member of the craft. He has the downward pyramid right over his genitals to show you what? He himself worships the Mother Goddess and most likely is a pansexual as well. We see Beyonce in the background, Kelly Rowland on his left shoulder, and this other person, Michelle, who seems to be very confused. Okay, so now brothers, let's pay very close attention to this photo right here because it's going to reveal quite a bit. That being that not only is Beyonce under the quote-unquote MKULTRA or Monarch program, but also she's being subjected to what's known as the Alice in Wonderland suite of the programming. We have to understand that one of the main components of the mind control program or the MKUltra program is to get the subject to disassociate themselves from other alters or other personas, other representations of their personality, by having them grasp on to fantastical films like Alice in Wonderland or The Wizard of Oz or Disney motion pictures, where the subject actually starts to believe that they're actually the star of the film. As we can see here, Beyonce once again is playing Alice in Wonderland. And I believe that this is the teacup ride, where she's spinning around and around, helping her to disassociate. Beyonce was brought into the witchcraft coven known as Hollywood by her father, as we've already seen. He is a venerator of the Mother Goddess himself and a high-level Luciferian. And as we saw from that previous photo, he was dressed in all black. Why is that? Because he is a Saturnian. He's trying to court the quote-unquote dark powers or dark magic. Whenever you see a person who's in the entertainment industry or who's a so-called celebrity, a handler or programmer per se, making a hand sign pointing downwards, they're trying to court the energies from the quote-unquote underworld. It's called a telluric hand sign or a chthonic hand sign, where they're trying to court the energies from the underworld. You'll see that oftentimes with many of the more higher profile members of Hollywood. They'll form the downward pyramid or what have you. But just getting back to Beyonce, on this ride here in the teacup, where she's playing Alice in Wonderland, as we can see, it's spinning around and around because it's supposed to signify disassociation. She's becoming dizzier and dizzier. She's spinning and she's spinning and she's spinning, so on and so forth. They're trying to convey to you that she is not only an asset, but that, of course, being an asset, she suffers from multiple personality disorder and she needs to be handled. Jay-Z is her handler and most likely a low-level programmer himself. But always pay attention to these photo shoots because they will show you that most of these celebrities are assets. They'll be depicted with Mickey Mouse ears on, or especially if they're female, they'll be depicting Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz or Alice in Wonderland, Cinderella, so on and so forth. Let's also remember that the film Alice in Wonderland involved a young girl crossing dimensions from the quote-unquote real world or the world of human beings into Wonderland by following the quote-unquote white rabbit or the psychopomp per se. A very similar plot to what we saw in the film Us. They view mirrors as a portal to another dimension, and that's meant to be associative with having multiple personality disorder or dissociative identity disorder. And when we view the film Us, we understand that the doppelganger was meant to be an analogy or a metaphor for someone who has a dark side and a light side. And in films about duality, especially with directors or screenwriters who comprehend and understand the concept of what that's about, as above, so below, they normally try to reckon the doppelganger with the original by conveying to the audience that they're both one and the same. There is no good side and bad side. There is no white side and black side. There is no red side and blue side. They're really just different aspects of the same entity or the same force. Beyonce is throwing up the quote-unquote triangle or the delta sign. The delta is the symbol for the Mother Goddess. That is the doorway from the physical world to the spiritual world of enlightenment. In order to travel there, you go through the doorway or the prism or the pyramid or the triangle per se, and the pathway that you take is over the rainbow or the rainbow serpent or the rainbow bridge, whatever term you want to use. So that's what this hand sign means of the quote-unquote diamond or the upward triangle or the upward pyramid. It's the delta. And Beyonce is certainly an adherent to that belief system, that philosophy. Okay, so now as we can see here, Beyonce is playing quote-unquote Mother Nature. And she's also throwing up the Mudra sign, the Vitarka sign, or the quote-unquote 666 sign. Once again, brothers, most of these celebrities are in the know. They already know what their belief system is actually about. Their job is to teach you to also become an adherent to their belief system, but they have to do it in a very surreptitious way. They can't do it in a blatant way. So Beyonce here is playing quote-unquote Mother Nature. We can tell that because she has all the flowers on her head. She's playing April, or April, as we call it today, aka Demeter, or the Mother. Now here goes Beyonce in her witch regalia, throwing up the horned sign, because once again, that is the great trinity of the Luciferians, the horned god, the mother goddess, and their son. And Beyonce believes in all three entities. She has to, or she cannot get to where she wants to go when it comes to being a worldwide famous artist, aka a witch. That's all she is. Now, as this photo shoot is clearly showing us, Beyonce is also under Monarch programming. We see the Monarch butterfly around her left eye. Why is that? Because once again, the left eye is for the quote-unquote goddess Hathor, or the goddess Isis, the cow goddess, or the goddess of knowledge and wisdom. That is who Beyonce venerates. And they're showing you that that is part of her programming suite. They take many of these females from Hollywood or the entertainment industry, and they give them a programming suite, meaning what? You're going to adhere to, you're going to worship, you're going to venerate the mother goddess as well as her son. And they make sure that they install and instill those components, those aspects, through electroshock treatment, through LSD, through hypnosis, so on and so forth. So Beyonce, unfortunately for her, was victimized by the MKULTRA program. Now here's another MKULTRA theme, the quote-unquote leopard print. And we've seen this in other videos. The leopard print is for Asar. It's also for the Bacchus. The Maenads wore the leopard print because Asar or Bacchus are considered to be the hidden god. They're the true god of this current world. And interestingly enough, Bacchus and Asar were also symbolized by the bull. But once again, whenever you see the leopard print, that's for beta programming. That's sex kitten programming. And that is Beyonce. She was put under sex kitten programming. We see also the cat theme here with Beyonce. The tiger face on her shirt, as well as the leopard print shorts. Now here's Beyonce with, I believe this is her nephew, who's holding her daughter. Notice that her nephew has the blonde hair. He's also been put under the programming. That's for their entire family. The blonde hair is for Harpocrates. Harpocrates was another way to say Heru or Cupid, because Harpocrates is Heru as a boy. And he was always depicted as having quote-unquote blonde hair. And that goes all the way back. The worship of Harpocrates goes all the way back to the inception of Hollywood, because they were all occultists. Some of you may have heard of the entertainer Harpo Marx from the Marx Brothers. He was always shown as someone who couldn't speak and had blonde hair. Why is that? Because Harpo was the god of silence and he had blonde hair. Now here's Beyonce with one of the master wizards of the entertainment industry, that being Jay-Z. And he is her programmer and her handler. He's a low-level programmer, but he's certainly her handler. He got the keys for Beyonce from her father, Matthew Knowles, who was her original programmer. And let me say this, as we can see, Beyonce has on the leopard print yet again. And all of this public narrative where Beyonce was so upset with Jay-Z for cheating on him and made this song Lemonade and blah, blah, blah. She wasn't going anywhere. She's not going anywhere unless Jay-Z allows it. If she flips out on him or starts to go through self-destruct programming, he'll just reboot her entire system. That's all he would do. He's probably done it before. The previous time that she tried to leave, he probably just rebooted the broad, and that was that. But she's not going anywhere. They're worth more to each other together than they are apart at this point in Beyonce's career, unless they change the script and they want a different type of narrative for her, and Jay-Z no longer feels like being with her. They're going to be together for the duration. All of this is narrative. She was given over to Jay-Z because Jay-Z is very agreeable to the powers that be in the music industry, which is nothing but a witch cove, and he will do whatever they want him to do, and they will reimburse him for his loyalty by making sure that he maintains a very high level of fame in the same way that they do Sean P. Diddy Combs. That's why Puff has been around for damn near 30 years and he's not going anywhere. Remember, he had that song, We Ain't Going Nowhere, Bad Boy for Life. That label, Bad Boy, and I stated this in another video, that's an allusion to Harpocrates. Okay? That is why they have that name for their record label. Sean Combs is deeply ingrained in the craft and the Babylonian Kemetic mystery school system. They all have to be. Same as Jay-Z. High level witch, Jay-Z is. And Beyonce is basically his love slave, as long as he wants her to be. Allegedly. Everything I'm saying is alleged, by the way. But once again, for those of us who understand what we're looking at, we know what's going on. The reason why I have to say terms like allegedly is because there are a lot of neophytes and novices who come to my channel and don't quite understand why I'm saying what I'm saying. And it's because they don't recognize the themes that are being propagated to the masses. They tell you a story without telling you explicitly. You have to be able to decipher it. Now, I'm sure that many of you brothers have seen this image before. This is an image of Beyonce hovering over her bed, levitating over her bed, in a state of being entranced, because right now she's departing from the physical world and heading into the spiritual world, or to Oz. She's going from Kansas to Oz. And when you watch the video, Sweet Dreams, that's what they're trying to communicate in that video. That Beyonce has been put through what they call Oz programming, or Wizard of Oz programming. They use many of these more famous fantasy films as programming mechanisms for their assets. And as Beyonce is hovering over the bed, we have the image of the dove, which is meant to be, of course, a correlation with the mother goddess, because the mother goddess and the dove are both supposed to be synonymous with the Holy Spirit on the left-hand Luciferian side. The dove is hovering over her to show you that her spirit is leaving her body, and also that she's the mother goddess. Now this right here is from another video with the same theme, that being Carrie Hilson, who's a C-level R&B star from the mid-2000s who tried to catch on but couldn't. And then she caught herself trying to go back and forth with Beyonce. And it became very apparent to me that no one told her that that the music industry and that the entertainment industry has favorites, and that the only way that you can climb up the ladder is by being as obedient as possible to all of the requests from those who are deeper or who are more deeply embedded in the craft. Well, Carrie Hilson decided that she was going to try to buck the trend and attack Beyonce. And Beyonce basically had her omitted from the music industry. She can barely work now. None of her songs really catch on. She probably works as a writer or something. Point being is this. In this video, which she did with Kanye West, another Monarch slave, this video is called Knock You Down. And at the beginning of the video, we see the same theme of levitation as she travels to the spirit world. All of these female artists are being shown how to travel from the physical world to the spiritual world, how to try to detach their spirits from their bodies, so on and so forth, at least once they get to a high enough level. This is Aaliyah, everybody's favorite songstress, the person who supposedly was so innocent. Aaliyah was a venerator of the serpent, just like all the rest of them, every last one of them. This is from the video We Need a Resolution. She's levitating in that video as well. Here is Sigourney Weaver, who plays Sabelle, or Isis, in the film Ghostbusters, the quote-unquote gatekeeper, the lady in red. As we can see, she herself is hovering. She's levitating over the bed. Same theme over and over and over again. They try to communicate these things to people through movies and through music videos, but because most people don't know anything about what they're watching, they miss out on everything that's being communicated to them. Now, brother, speaking of the red dress theme, who do we see here? We see Beyonce's mother, and she's also playing the role of quote-unquote Isis or Aset, the lady in red, the goddess of witchcraft. How do we know that she's playing a quote-unquote goddess? We know that because, as we can see in the photo on the left, she has on a crown. So we know that she's trying to communicate that she's a quote-unquote queen. This is a very similar theme to what we saw on the cover of the album by Janelle Monáe, Metropolis, where I believe she also has on a crown. A very similar crown to this one, as a matter of fact. But once again, when you see that lady in red theme, that's for the mother of harlots. That's for Isis or Aset. Okay, so once again, Beyonce was raised up in a Luciferian program in her home. That's why the first time that she was introduced to the public was through Star Search. Star Search is for Monarch children. And by the way, it's not a secret that Beyonce and her mother are very avid practitioners of magic, sorcery, witchcraft, etc. Now here's another photo with Beyonce's mother with the same theme, the lady in red, i.e. Isis or Aset, practicing witchcraft. That's how they get to the top. All these top artists practice witchcraft, every last one of them. Now, speaking of the mother of harlots or the goddess of witchcraft, here's Beyonce playing Isis herself on stage. Many people might ask themselves, why do these female artists always dress like sluts and whores when they're on stage? That's because they're playing out a ritual. They're acting as priestesses of Ishtar or Inanna or Isis or what have you. So they have to depict themselves overly sexualized because that goddess, or at least that aspect of that persona of the mother goddess, is the sex altar. So everything that's projected has to be overly sexualized. So even here, Beyonce has on the headdress, she has on the cape, but all her thigh meat has to be out. Why is that? Beyonce is constantly cast as the role of Aurora, or the quote-unquote sun goddess. That's why she's always wearing the headdress that radiates. This is a comparison of Beyonce and Aurora herself, quote-unquote herself, because that's not a real entity. Aurora is the goddess of the dawn, i.e. the rising sun. Why is that? Because the name Aurora, as I've stated in other videos, means the bearer of light. What that basically means is that, according to the mythologies, the mother goddess was impregnated by the sun, i.e. the quote-unquote sun god. And when she gave birth to their son, he was a personification. He basically was a reincarnation of the sun. So for the most part, the mother goddess is likened unto the planet Venus or the moon. But when she is likened unto the sun, is a way to retell that story, that fictional story or that allegorical story of how the sun impregnated the mother goddess. So as we can see here, Beyonce is casting herself as Aurora, the quote-unquote sun goddess. Now, this is another depiction of Beyonce at concert playing the quote-unquote sun goddess, and her audience just eats it up. Why is that? Because most of Beyonce's audience is filled with a lot of bugged out, silly, whorish women who don't know any damn thing. So they just cheer for any damn thing, and they have no idea how they're being programmed. Now, just as a comparison, this was a film role that the very low-level actress and comedian Aisha Tyler, she played Mother Nature in a certain film, and look at how she's dressed. She's dressed in the same way, with the radiating headpiece, so on and so forth. Just to help you brothers understand that they're trying to push this mother goddess energy or this God is a woman energy through Hollywood. And all of these females believe in it. And that's really, what the quote-unquote feminist movement is all about. Getting the average woman to believe that she's a fleshly manifestation of the mother goddess, that she can do no wrong and that she can be a shot caller, so on and so forth, within her own life. That's a way to try to cause division between the man and the woman. Once again, they want the mother goddess to be the god entity for the masses. They save the horned god for behind the scenes. But for the people, for the masses, they want you to worship the mother goddess and thereafter worship women. That's why you'll notice that in many of these movies, they constantly try to cast a female authority as a benevolent person. She does no wrong. She's going to bring peace to the world. They just did that with that bullshit movie Captain Marvel. Every female in the movie was some type of benevolent entity who was going to save the world, or worlds, plural. She was going to save men, save everybody. But I'll save that for my Captain Marvel movie breakdown. Now, brothers, this is a depiction of a Japanese version of the mother goddess known as Amaterasu. As we can see here, the same theme. She's a quote-unquote sun goddess. She actually has an image of the sun in the middle of her head. And once again, the rays are irradiating from that image. And she is a sun goddess. And as we also can see right in the middle there, she's doing a hand sign very similar to the quote-unquote West Side hand sign. Because that sign, or that symbol that a lot of cats from California make, they believe that it's a gang hand symbol. It's not. It's a Luciferian hand symbol. It means the coming together, or the concept of the unity of Saturn and his son Apollo. Okay? Apollo is the son of Saturn. Not literally, but just colloquially. Saturn is the father of all the gods. And Apollo is the son, S-U-N-N-S-O-N. Saturn is known as the black sun. Then you have Apollo, which is the gold sun. And they come together, the bringing together of opposites. So that's why you have that hand symbol where the ring finger crosses over the middle finger. The bringing together of opposites. The black sun and the gold sun coming together. But just to get back to the point, this is a Japanese sun goddess. And we see the same imagery. Now here's Beyonce once again playing the quote-unquote sun goddess. She has on the headpiece for the sun. She even has on a gold dress, a gold shimmering dress. And in the background, even the drapes are golden in color. In front of her are the flowers. Why is that? Because she is Aurora. She causes the flowers to spring forth, to bloom, so on and so forth. She is the mother goddess, also known as April or April. Okay, so now, brothers, this photo right here depicts a pagan or Luciferian understanding of the quote-unquote Virgin Mary holding her son, allegedly supposed to be Christ, but in all actuality, this is Cupid. That's why Cupid has the heart in his hand. And supposedly that's quote-unquote Mary who's holding him. The point being is this: Mary has been abducted by the Luciferians, and she's had mother goddess qualities applied to her to get people to believe that the story of Mary is actually the story of Aset or Isis. Now let's pay very close attention to how Beyonce tries to depict the birth of her quote-unquote twins. You see how she has tried to align herself with many of the depictions, whether it be art or what have you, and how the mother goddess is holding her child, the anointed child, so on and so forth. This is how Beyonce is trying to do it as well. They're constantly trying to push her as a quote-unquote mother goddess figure. In the same way that they tried to push Tupac and now Nipsey Hussle as a manifestation of the sun, S-O-N, a Christ figure, a martyr figure. Everything that they're doing is ritualistic. Now, brothers, I'm sure that I've stated this in other videos, or at least one other video. But if I haven't, I'm going to state it now. You'll see many of these celebrities, especially music artists, on the hip-hop or R&B side, wear Bulls attire, whether it be a Bulls hat or a Bulls jersey or a Bulls jacket. Why is that? It's not because they're a fan of the team. It's because they understand that the color scheme for the Chicago Bulls, as well as the emblem for the team, is an allusion to Baal and the concept of witchcraft, that color scheme of black, white, and red for Pan, aka the quote-unquote Baphomet. As we can see here in this pose, Beyonce is wearing a quote-unquote Derrick Rose jersey, but I guarantee you it's not for Derrick Rose. It's to show you who she believes is number one, that being Baal. Notice she has her hands up to form the horn sign, and she's twisting her feet together so that it looks like it's just going straight down, going upward. Her arms are the horns, and then going straight down like the skull of a bull or of a goat. Why is that? Because she's showing you who it is that she venerates or that she worships. If there was a team called the Goats, she'd wear that jersey for this photo. Once again, that's how they speak to the masses. They speak cryptically. This is another photo where Beyonce and Jay-Z are showing their allegiance. Interestingly enough, This is a photo shoot for the song Sweet Dreams, which was a blatantly Luciferian song. And look at what they're doing on the cover of this single or of this song. They're on a motorcycle, and what is depicted? The skull of the bull. Beyonce is behind Jay-Z. Why is that? Because Jay-Z is her master. He's her teacher, her master teacher, if we want to go there. She's the apprentice. She has to follow him. So she's behind Jay-Z. Jay-Z is behind Baal. That is how they're going to accrue their power in the recording industry and just in the world in general. And as we can see, Jay-Z is in all black for Saturn. Now, I'm sure that there are many people who will be telling themselves or saying to themselves, this dude is taking it too far. What is he talking about? He's making connections that are not really relevant, so on and so forth. I expect that because there are a lot of two-dimensional thinkers out there. I just hover above all that, but let's get back to the point. Who is it that Jay-Z is rubbing foreheads with in this photo, brothers? Who knows? This person's name is Marina Abramovic. And to the public at large, she's known as one of the more preeminent performance artists in the world. But behind the scenes, and for those in the craft, she's a master witch. She's an instructor on how to court spiritual energy through witchcraft. She practices something called spirit cooking, in which she believes that if she were to get others as well as herself to engage in a facsimile of blood drinking and cannibalism, etc., that will be a pathway or portal to help them understand how those things can assist them in becoming a greater version of themselves, how to become illuminated per se or enlightened per se. So she is very, very dear friends with Jay-Z. So this photo that we're looking at right here with Jay-Z and Marina Abramovic was taken on the day that the video for Picasso Baby was filmed. I believe that was the name of the song, Picasso Baby. And Jay-Z wanted this performance artist in the video, but there's a reason why he wanted her. He wanted her because she's a spirit guide. These people are always showing you what they're about, but you just have to listen. Now, brothers, look at this. This is Marina Abramovic at a quote-unquote spirit cooking with Lady Gaga. And what are they doing? They're pretending to engage in cannibalism. I'm guessing that whatever this facsimile of a human corpse is made out of, that is edible. But how could you not be fully disgusted at the proposition of eating something, no matter how good it tastes, that looks like a human body? Unless you're a Satanist. At the very least, a Luciferian, but most likely a Satanist. Because that's the highest level of what they're about. But once again, pay very close attention. This is the person that Jay-Z is rubbing foreheads with. This here is another photo of Marina Abramovic. She's showing you what? That she considers herself an oracle or a diviner. She's a Pythia. I covered the concept of Pythias, I believe maybe in the Aaliyah video. Whenever you see these females and they have a serpent encoiled around themselves, they're telling you that they're an oracle for Apollo. Because the concept of a diviner was associated with the serpent. Because the serpent, once again, is the mechanism by which you go from the physical world to the spiritual world. So when they encoiled a serpent around them, they were letting you know that they were a pathway from this world to that. They were the recipient of divine utterances or oracles, and they would deliver them to certain suitors. That's the point of the serpent being encoiled around a person. They also viewed the serpent as a representation or symbol for healing, as well as wisdom. Hey, brothers, it don't get much more blatant than this. This is who Jay-Z is rubbing foreheads with. Okay? It doesn't get much more blatant than this. She's trying to show you that through the power of the serpent, that she's been enlightened. She's been illuminated. Her eye is opened. Her quote-unquote third eye or pineal gland has been activated. As well as the understanding that she is a fleshly manifestation or microcosm of the mother goddess. And we see in the other photo, she has the horns on her head. I mean, it don't get much more obvious than this, man. So for cats who might say, oh, well, you're making connections that's not there, here you go. Also notice that in both photos she's wearing all black for Saturn and for witchcraft, as well as the hand sign that she's making in the photo where she has the horns on her head. All those hand signs mean something, okay? Now we see Beyonce with the same theme of the serpent. They're letting you know that they adhere to the concept of the mother goddess. The mother goddess is who? Or at least in the original manifestation, is Eve. Eve was seduced by the ideologies of the serpent. That's what they're trying to show you. That's who they're following after. We can also see that Beyonce's belt buckle is a sun that is radiating. So now, brothers, this is another image of Marina Abramovic. As we can see, she's not playing any games. We saw her before with the devil horns on her forehead. Here she has the goat skull to show you what? Her god is Pan. That's why she has on the blood red outfit to match the blood of the goat's head. That's why I tell you, brothers, when you see that theme of black, white, and red, that's for the quote-unquote black mass for Pan. That's how witches attempt to summon Pan or Baal, whatever you want to call the quote-unquote horned god entity. Now, this is Beyonce wearing the goat ring herself, and many people have seen this photo already. This is why, brothers, they're able to build such a huge cult of personality. You have young females out here that would be willing to kill for Beyonce if they felt like Beyonce had been offended by a statement by someone else. Why is that? Because it's witchcraft. She casts spells on them through her music. This is what her former band member is referring to when she says that Beyonce has the power to cast spells and push forth her spirit. Every time these people go to one of her concerts, they get placed under a deeper and deeper level of programming, aka a spell. But once again, Beyonce is a worshiper of Pan, aka quote-unquote the Baphomet. Okay, so now, brothers, we're going to end it with this, that being Beyonce's participation in the quote-unquote Metropolis ritual, or the quote-unquote Queen of the Night ritual, which is talking about Inanna, or Ishtar, the mother goddess. There was a director from the 1930s by the name of Fritz Lang, who made a movie about a dystopian future that was overly mechanized, and the only way that society could be saved is if they followed after the mother goddess. Okay, so brothers, I'm going to end this video with this image right here, that being Beyonce playing out the quote-unquote Metropolis ritual, in which she plays a modernized version of Inanna, or Ishtar. And this is based on a concept that was first addressed by a German director by the name of Fritz Lang back in the 1930s. He did a film called Metropolis, which basically was about a society that was in a dystopian, bleak future, where all the people did was go to work, engage in their drudgery. They worked underground, which is meant to symbolize how they were irrelevant, and they were ruled over by a mother goddess figure. That's why I tell you, brothers, that the reason why they're pushing this mother goddess theme, or this God as a woman theme, on the masses, aka feminism, is because they're trying to play out the mother of harlots prophecy in the scriptures. Or they're unwittingly trying to play it out. And they know that in order for society to become pliable enough or welcoming enough to accept many of the reforms that they want to bring, they need men to think like women, and they need women to believe that they're able to run a society, because they know that the woman is going to lead with her emotions. So if they can get the man to think like a woman, that means he's going to start leading with his emotions. And the powers that be can now push a lot of their real doctrines. But as we can see here, Beyonce has on the armor from the film Metropolis, aka the Queen of the Night, also known as Persephone, or Inanna, or Ereshkigal, who's just the dark side or the dark aspect of Inanna. And this is something that's played out over and over again. The pansexual singer Janelle Monáe has an album called Metropolis, which she claims she was so heavily influenced by. She wasn't heavily influenced by shit. When she was recruited for the Luciferian craft, or the witchcraft coven that is known as the music industry, she was instructed on many of these things and told, this is what you're going to sing about. This is the imagery that you're going to convey to the masses. She's under programming her damn self. And just to bring it home, they show you in the film Metropolis who this mother goddess figure is meant to represent. The inverted pentagram for the goat. That's how she was summoned. Okay? So that is who Beyonce venerates. And that's who you venerate when you're a fan of Beyonce Knowles. So peace.